day end, month end, and year end. Sorry about that. We discussed what closing activities were. We looked at day end activities, that customer line item display, vendor line display, GL, line item display, daily cash reconciliation, exchange rate updates, cost center. We looked at some of these daily activities that need to be performed by the SAP user to verify that the accounts were properly done and the books are in order. So you can reach us using our email or WhatsApp. Today we're going to, for this session, for this part, we're going to look at the month-end activities in SAP and how, briefly see how they can be carried out. The purpose of this class is not for, it's just to view these activities and know how to navigate our way through. You can always reach out to us if you need training and support for your configurations, and probably if you're carrying out a task, why not? We'll be of help to assist you in any SAP service you require. But for now, let's look at this activity. So month-end activities are actually activities carried out at the end of the month, prior to the follow-up to the previous month. Of course, some activities like bank reconciliation, customer reconciliation, vendor reconciliation, cash reconciliation. These are key foreign currency updates. These are key processes that have to be carried out also at the end of the month. We talked about them at day end, so we're not going to repeat them now. You can get the part one of this course that looked at day end activities. Most of the day end activities are actually carried out at the end of the month, so you can get the first part of this video for that. Here we're going to be looking at the core month-end activities. The first we're going to look at is account clearing. As GL account clearing, we're going to look at customer account clearing, we're going to look at vendor account clearing. These are necessary to make sure that the balances that are being carried forward to the next period are actually correct and they're verifiable. We're going to look at some reports, due date report analysis, list of customer open items, due date for vendors, open and close posting periods, bank reconciliation, create posting document for recurring documents, foreign currency valuation, interest calculation, and look at post audit adjustments. So briefly, let's go into this, go into our SAP and see how we can carry out these processes seamlessly. I'm just going to share. Okay, I think my screen is already shared. So I'm going to leave this. Just a second. Okay, so we're going to see our SAP screen now. We're going to be moving from the SAP screen to the presentation. So for the month-end activity, just briefly, after the month-end activity, we also have the year-end activity that we'll also be carrying out in another part of this video. So look out for the year-end activity also to be able to have a complete part of this video. So for month-end activity, first we're going to be looking at is GL account clearing. Now, why do we need to do this? For accounts that have open item management, these are accounts that you need to clear. The purpose of these accounts are to hold transactions, and at the end of the period, transactions flow into them, but they need to be reconciled. They need to be cleared against transaction. So let's say, for example, you have a receivable account Residual account is like it's a sub account that is tied to customer master data. So when invoices are being raised, um, this account holds that invoice value. If you don't make a payment, then it's open. So it's an example of an open item. It's going to, that invoice value is going to sit on that account until a payment is made to clear that outstanding invoice. So that's just an example of what an open item account is. So we're going to go to transaction code and see if we have a GL to clear. So we're going to go to the GL 2013. Is if you want to look for your account, you can also use this drop down and search for your GL. Move this, say OK. First, you can sort this out by just clicking that document, and you can search for your GL. So we have 2301. So this is vendor payable. It's the GL. The year, the clearing date is the year or the month you want to do this clearing. Provide the company code, provide the currency. You have other additional selection areas. You can search by clear by document numbers. But for now, we're going to just focus on processing all the open items. So you can see from my example that we have, first of all, before doing this, let's run a line item for our GL. We learned that in the first part. So let's do a GL and see the GL breakdown. This, see the line item breakdown of this GL. Let's see. Okay. Guess I put it wrong. Try that again. So you see now these items are actually opened. Stable account is opened for this vendor, but you can actually see that there is a debit against this account and there are credits against this account. So the GL clearing account will actually, it's a tool that enables you to manually match your payments, your payments to this account versus your outflow out of this account. Your inflow into this account versus your outflow. You're using, because the posting keys, 40 means debit, 50 means credit, and the document type is SA. Document type SA means GL. Document number, assignment number, which all these configurations happen at GL master data. Okay, so we've talked about navigating through your line items in the first part of this video. So the essence of this, we need to clear this against this, probably because this payment has been confirmed against this invoice, but it's not been cleared. So let's see how we can clear this now. So go back to our clearing. So we're going to match them again. So double click on the inflow into the GL and double click on this payment into the GL. And you can see that the amount not assigned is 150. Okay. Just a second. Great. Okay, now we need to clear the inflow into the GL and the payment out of the GL. But you see that the outflow is more than the inflow. So we're going to use the residual items route to do this clearing. So just double click on the 150, double click on the 200 so that this will clear. However, this balance of 150 will go back into the GL as a residual item because the outflow did not completely match the inflow. So to do that, let this, you have the option of either entering the value at the residual items area, or I want the difference posting to be made directly into GL. So I'm just going to double click here, and we have not a balance of 0. We can go to document and simulate and see how the system is going to do this posting. So it has picked the transactions that were matched, and of course the extra residual value, or the extra residual value is going to go back to the GL as an open item. So I'm going to save this. So automatically it has generated a new document number. Now, in case of, we have a training that dealt fully with clearing, writing off. We have different ways of clearing transactions. It could be residual, it could be charge of difference, and all that. Please make reference to our FI training video for deeper details into FI postings. So let's go back and run the GL line item and see the effect of this. Just refresh this. So you can see that it has cleared the 150 that was previously mapped, and it has dropped a balance of 150, which should be left open. So the item, the inflow has been cleared with one of the outflows, but there's a residual of 150 that is left open that is yet uncleared. So this is an example of what the SAP user is supposed to be doing on a monthly basis. These clearings are important to ensure that at every point in time, the balance in the GLs are reporting appropriately. And there are no open balances that are supposed to have been matched or cleared. It will leave, if those transactions are not matched as at when due, it's going to leave a lot of open items and open payments and open invoice and open inflows and outflows that would leave a mess on that GL. So it's very important that you regularly check and clear transactions at your GL level. So the next we're going to look at is customer account clearing. Just as we had for GLs, the essence of customer account clearing is to make sure that all open items in your customer account that needs to be cleared are cleared. So first, we're going to run the line item for your customers. That was dealt thoroughly in the first video, FPL5N. So I'm going to close this GL page. So when customer line item, you can select any customer or just leave it blank. Go to your all items, make sure the company code is correct, execute. So let's see the open balances in the line item. So in this customer Etisalat Nigeria, we have open items that needs to be cleared. For example, these two payments are supposed to have cleared this particular invoice. However, that clearing has not been done, so it's leaving transactions open in the vendor account. So that clear is necessary to tidy up this particular account. So the transaction code is F-32. So of course, you select the customer account, which is 100151. Clearing date is 31st of December. Process open items. Okay, so it's going to bring all the open items for this particular customer. I want to clear this payment, and this credit memo against the invoice. So just all you need to do is to locate and double click. So we have this 60,000 against the invoice. Just double click on it. It's going to turn it from black to blue, and we're going to have a not assigned value of 0. That means it's been cleared. So simulate this. You can see the postings at GL level. You can save. So what have we done? For this particular month, we have identified that items in the customer account were open. They have been posted, but they are still left. Okay, so sorry for the breach. What we did, I'm just going to repeat that. Of internet. So we had a customer, went to the customer line item. Um, we observed that accounts were open, but for now we don't have any these two accounts. So this this were open. So our task was to close them. So we had these two against the 60. So what we did was to, sorry, in case video went off at the point, went to F-32, selected the customer account, processed the open item. All we did was to match the payment against the invoice. So did that. For the sake of clarity, I'm just going to do a very brief invoice so that I can repeat that step again in case you didn't get it. So I'm just going to do a quick invoice so that we can do the clearing appropriately. So I'm just going to select solar posting date, invoice date, posting date, select a GL, say, then document number 20, down payment, it's fine. Okay. Requires a pseudo object, so just assign a cost center to it. This have all been done. Configuration and if you want to get more training on how to do your configurations, why not you can contact us. So I'm going to assign this to IT operations. Validate by entering, clicking on enter. So it's done. Provide an amount. Remember, this posting is done at the FI level using the FI invoice. So this is good. You can simulate. I can save. Just to repeat the customer clearing path so that we get it clear before we move to the next. So I have a document number 30. I'm going to go back to line item display. This works. Just going to go back, try to run this transaction again. FBL 5N. So you're going to see, I need an invoice. I'm supposed to do a payment. Okay, so let's do this once more. So that's 28. Payments very fast. Bank, the actual amount is what 20,000. Customer. So we are actually trying to receive funds from this customer. Clearing text. Click on process open item. So you can see the amount we received is 120, and we're going to match it against the open invoice. Let's double click on that. So we have 0. Okay. This is fine. Now, if we do this, the system is going to automatically clear this transaction, while the essence of F-32 is to clear transactions that have not been cleared. So I'm just going to save this, go to my line item, run the code again. You're going to see that it's cleared the invoice we posted because we had 2 of them, which is this transaction, and completed that process. Okay, so that is that for clearing. The next, we're going to look at vendor clearing F-44. We're going to first run the vendor line item. FBL 1N. Go to all items, display. Okay, so we have an invoice, a payment that has not been cleared, and we are supposed to clear this payment against this invoice. So let's say there's a scenario where this is a pending payment, and we have raised an invoice for this vendor, and the vendor says, please, you have a balance, I have a balance with you. The customer tells the supplier, use that balance to clear the invoice. Let me know the actual amount of money that is due. Of course, you can see that, but your SAP, we need to clear this out so that we can see clearly what is open for this vendor. So we're going to go transaction code F-44. Select the vendor account. Just search for it. That is MTN. So let me check. So that's MTN. Yeah. If you have special GLs, you can do that. Process open item. So clearing means match payment to an invoice. So I want to clear this guy and this guy, but I can't clear that because of the difference in value. So I'm going to use the residual path, and I'm going to post the difference. I'm going to make sure that the difference is posted back to the vendor's account with a new document number. So you can see that this has cleared this. However, this difference needs to return back to the vendor account so that you can keep monitoring this vendor account in the future. Go to document, simulate. Simulate is to check, make sure everything is posted correctly. Of course, you can see that it's dropping an error for us. Correct map transaction. So we need to select this guy. He wants us to provide a text. So we can say payments. So clear balance. Invoice cleared balance. This will be your enter. Save this transaction. So the document has been posted. Go to your vendor line items. Refresh. You can see this is still here because we have not refreshed. So maybe refresh. Wow, you can see that it's cleared the balance. However, it cleared it with this value, but it generated a new document that will use to track the balance. And of course, the balance is here. Subsequently, if there are payments, you can use this payment to clear these open invoices. So that is the essence of why, this is the reason why on a monthly basis, at the end of every month, these accounts need to be checked, they need to be reviewed, and if there are necessary clearings that need to be done, it has to be done, and to ensure that the balances in the accounts are clear and good for processing. So next, we're going to look at due date analysis. This is very important for monthly review of open items or debts that have been that customers owes us. This due date means give you a confirmation of when that debt, where the analysis of open items vis-a-vis criteria is the due date. So using the due date, you will probably be able to age your open items and know which ones are 30 days old, 60 days old, those sort of information. So you can check for a particular customer and a particular company code. So let's say I want to check for Slab. I'm going to process this transaction. Because your key date should be from the 31st December. So I'm just going to give this guest is running preparing the output. So the time it requires so that we can close this out. Okay, so you can see the display. Let's go back a little. Okay, before we do that, go to the customer So this is showing the due date for this particular customer. If you scroll down just at the bottom, you can raise this screen higher level. You can see that for this debt, the total is 1.7 million. In the days due, this amount is 151 to 180 days old. This amount is 211 to 9999 days old. The essence of this is to monitor your aging analysis, and if possible, reach out to the customer to complain, or to you can write letters to explain why, to remind the customer on the need to clear some of these debts. Okay, so basically that is what the aging analysis does. Tries to age your debts. So this is actually currency translation. So it tries to age your debt, and this is very helpful to the users, the accounts team, to be able to follow up with letters, correspondences to these customers to remind them of how old their debts have been with you. I'm going to go back. The next we're going to look at is customer open items, something similar, just to view all the open items of your customer. This is a very important month-end activity. Remember, we're looking at activities that need to be carried out at the end of the month. So let's check for Tessellate, standard. So just execute this. So you can see now the open items that for this particular customer. You can actually trace it with the dates, the document numbers. Very important, you can actually export this report to Excel and every other information. You can email it. All that. So this is very important for the accounts receivable team to make sure that they follow up with these balances. They are verifiable. They are constantly in touch with the customer to make sure payments are being made. Okay, so let's go to the next. This is vendor related. So this is the same customer open items. Let's just see. Remember, these are very some month-end activities. They're very important. So select the vendor accounts. If you leave it blank to populate for all vendors, just go on for specific, enter your company code and execute. So the same thing you can get. So this is your vendor balance. You can see the aging analysis just beneath. This balance, part of it is 30 days old. Within 30 days, part of it is at within 181 to 210 days old. Very important information for the payables team to follow up, make sure that payments are made in order to avoid what we call charges, debts, if there's any. The next we're going to look at is close, open and close posting period. This is very key. This is important because at the end of every period, the super users or consultants will have to close. The period can be a month, it can be a week. It can be a month, it can be a week. So, so let's say we're in January, and the policy of the company is that by the 5th month of January or any month should be closed. We've gotten to the 5th, so essence is you have to close a particular period. You can see now from 1 to 12 is open. That's why we can be able to post transactions. First, you have to get your variants. These are back-end configurations anyway. So you can see your company code or your, your values. Now we have A is for asset, D is for customers, K is for vendors, S. So you can close period as per the account type. So you don't want, so for customer information, if you change this from 2 to 12, it means that period 1 is closed. So that's how to close your period. It's very important. If you do this, it means your period that is open is only between 1 to 11. So it's necessary to close periods to enable data not to be posted in a period that is already closed. When you close the period, permission will be taken if there is need to post into that period in the subsequent month. Okay. Bank reconciliation manually has been treated in an FI class, so we're not going to be going deep into that. But if your system is automatically configured to run bank reconciliation automatically, you have to get the empty 940 file from the bank. It's a file that is used, that is it's a file that is read by SAP, but the file is gotten from the bank, and the file carries details of the transaction in the bank statement of the company code. So what you do is to, when you get the file, run your ff_5, upload the file. Just going to use this as an example. I don't have a file here. So just select the file. File is in a particular format. Your ABAP and functional FICO functional consultant will be able to make that work. When the file is selected and it is executed, now remember that in configuration, your bank has 3 accounts. 1 is the incoming account, 2 is the outgoing account, and the 3rd is the main bank account. Now, when you make postings on a daily basis, your GLs, your postings, either receipt or payments, do not hit your main accounts. They go to your sub accounts, which are incoming accounts and outgoing accounts. At the end of the month, what the reconciliation does is to pull out, is to close out these sub accounts and move the transactions to the main account. So transactions that needs to be debited will be debited in the sub account and credited in the main account. Transactions that needs to be credited will be credited in the sub account and debited in the main account. With that, the sub account is cleared and all the information is moved to the main account. If there is any sub account that is open, manual reconciliation can be used to do that. But automatically, the system does the posting behind the scene. Manually, you use your transaction code FF67 to post them manually. FF_5 is for automatic reconciliation. It's quite good if you have the automatic configuration done. Now we have recurring documents used to handle recurring postings, such as rent that is being paid in advance, and every month you need to post the GL that should reduce the rent and credit your receivable, credit your assets, which is receivable, and debit your expense. So it's important that every month, if the recurring documents have been entered in FBD1, So the first thing is to enter the transaction in FBD1, where you select the ROMs, select the interval, select the document type, and process the transaction. Please refer to our FI video, FI training for this. So enter the transaction. And now every month, the user is supposed to run F14, which is the postings. FBD1 is just to record the transaction. F.14 is on a monthly basis that posting is being done. And the user doesn't need to post to the GLs. The system automatically based on the FBD1 that has been set up, the system automatically does those postings to the GL. So if you have large recurring transactions, this is a very wonderful tool to use. Then to run the input session, to enable the transactions to hit the GLs, you have to do your batch input session, run them in batches. Use the SM35. Fortunately, I might not be running that here, but please refer to our FICO training videos. If you need more information, you can reach me out, email, or WhatsApp the number in the screen. So the next is foreign currency valuation. So the essence of this is when the foreign currency valuation is done in SAP, to ensure that all open items and balance in foreign currency is converted to the local currency using the current exchange rate maintained in the system. In the first part of this video, we talked about OBO8, which was how to manage your exchange rate daily. So at the end of the year, this is a very important transaction code, and also at the end of the month, to revalue all your foreign currencies into your local currency, since your financial reporting will be done in your local currencies. So it's important to do that. We're just going to see the transaction code. For the sake of this training, we're not going to be running that, but get the information that at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you need this to revalue all your foreign transactions. So non-open items managed in balance sheet, it has to be revalued. So when you have items that are not opened in the balance sheet but are in foreign currency, this will apply to them. Where the account currency is not the local currency, this will also apply to them. So that's the essence of the revaluation. So enter your company code, enter revaluation key area, select the open item you want to revalue, the balance, then you process. The system is automatically going to revalue all transactions. So interest calculation is another example of very important transaction code that has been done monthly. The essence of this is for transactions that accrue interest on a monthly basis, let's say, for example, loan, there are some configurations that need to be done. Then on a monthly basis, you can run F.52 to calculate, for the system to calculate that interest and remit to the necessary GL. Okay, at the last but not the least, we have the post-audit adjustments. At the end of every financial year, internal audits are being done or internal audits are taken. The essence of the audit is to ensure that transactions show true and fair view. And of course, the management account is being audited. There might be need for some adjustments. Transaction code to post those adjustments, you can use FBO1 or F-02. I go to my FBO1. Let's say there's an adjustment in an expense account or an asset account was revalued, and the instruction was to post an audit journal, pass an audit journal to actually effect that change. So put the document type, put the document number. You can say here audit journal. Posting key. So we're supposed to reduce the asset. So we're going to credit the asset, value of that asset. Yes. So let's say 15th. You can validate by clicking on enter. Okay, so by the configuration of this GL, it can be posted directly. So let's use something a little bit. Okay, let's say capital. So let's try this. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this against an expense. So let's say we'll have an adjustment, discount received was debited. So let's say 40. After the audit, we discovered that it was overstated by 5,000 euro. So audit adjustments. So click on enter, come down, select 50, 50 means to credit. So we have to go and credit vendors payable. Enter. If you don't want to replicate the amount, use asterisk. If you don't want to replicate the text, use plus. Click on enter, save. So this has been posted successfully. You run the line item for this particular transaction. So let's go to FBN. So let's look for discounts. Execute this. So let's say all items. Item display. Check this. Okay, check. Check this. So you can see the audit adjustment that was made. If you double click on it, go to header text, go to display, you're going to see the postings that was done against that account. So this is the essence of this transaction code. So thank you very much. We have come to the end of this particular task. The essence of this is to draw your attention to the basic monthly closing activities you should be conversant with. And if you have any information, more questions to ask, if you want to get more clarification about our trainings, why not? You can send an email to me, Kelechi739@yahoo.com, or you can send a WhatsApp to +2340 or 2247034813335. Of course, you can connect me on LinkedIn, Adiele Kelechi. So thank you very much for the time. Look forward to the next session. In the next session, we're going to be looking at year-end activities, and we're going to see how that can support you in performing your year-end operations. Thank you very much, and do have a nice day. Remember to like this video, to share to your friends, and your comments. It's